This is Soapbox Radio. Potting it out there with my lime boots. The Lifestyle Edit.
Hey guys, it's Ryan. It's a Thursday afternoon at 4 o'clock. Coming to you live from 27 Boxes in Melville today. I'm back in the studio and I'm glad to say after 3 weeks I finally have a guest back in the studio with me. I'm not feeling so alone today. Today we're doing a Lifestyle Edit show and I'm talking to a lady that I heard speak recently at a longevity event I attended at High Park Corner. What she had to say really interested me, especially when she touched on the subject of burnout, which is fast becoming so common amongst all of us these days. Dr. Ella Munga, who I'll introduce to you shortly, has taken a different approach to understanding our modern digitally based lives in order to come up with a way forward that really rings true with me. Let me start by giving you a little background to Dr. Ella Munga. Ella spent her early childhood in the seaside town of Port Elizabeth. She was inspired by her relationship with her grandfather, a notable South African writer and historian. Ella's relationship and interactions with her grandfather sparked much of her passion for writing and healing that she enjoys today. After graduating as a medical doctor in 1998 from the University of the Witwatersrand, Wits, Ella served her internship and community service at Johannesburg General Hospital. Ella set up shop as a GP in Windsor East, here in Joburg, and worked mainly with young families and people starting out in their careers. Ella's time in Windsor East brought her an understanding that medicine needed to be practiced in a way that was more individualized, holistic, and heart-centered. In 2007, Ella moved her practice to the banks of the Crocodile River at Malters Drift, crafting a unique holistic approach to wellness, combining the principles of Eastern philosophy, yoga, mindfulness, and Western medicine. With a passion for breathwork, Ella uses medicine as a framework to delve deeper into the root causes of illness by drawing on safe, natural healing systems. Dr. Ella Munga, that's quite a CV, so firstly, welcome, and secondly, have I summed you up correctly?
Yeah, I suppose that's pretty much it.
Yeah, great. Okay, Ella, talk to me about life in PE. I too have an association with that town.
Oh, really?
And the influence of your grandfather, which I found interesting to hear about.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in a traditional Indian family, extended family.
Yeah.
My dad passed away when I was 3.
Sure.
So, I was raised by my extended family, and my grandfather really stepped in as a role model. And I was privileged to attend a multiracial convent school where I was exposed to all kinds of cultures and ways of thinking. So I suppose I had quite a broad outlook, even though PE was quite safe
small
and
town.
small town. I was really privileged to be a part of my grandfather's life because he shared so many beautiful stories of his childhood in India, and my relationship with him really shaped my understanding of life, of myself, of the world.
Mm-hmm. I think there's something to be said for growing up in small towns like PE, even if they're at the coast or not at the coast. I think there's a different understanding that one develops of life and of issues relative to life. I don't know if you found that.
Yeah, I think there are a combination of factors. It was the extended family. It was the influence of older people.
Yes. Much wisdom in the aged that we take for granted, to be honest.
Yeah. And I suppose I developed a relationship with nature. My grandfather always took me on walks around the garden and showed me the trees, and so I developed an intimate relationship with nature from a very young age.
Almost like a holistic beginning, the starting seeds of a holistic
and in
understanding.
retrospect, I can look back and see that, and appreciate that now.
Okay. Have you always had a passion for medicine? Was this a natural fit for you when deciding on a career path?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I think a natural fit because I grew up in a family with medical doctors.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
so was there pressure? Was there pressure on you?
Yeah.
I see in your eyes.
So there was an expectation kind of. And, when you're 17, 18 years old, you don't really understand yourself that well.
Yeah.
So for me, I thought, great, of course, it's obvious. It's an obvious choice.
Yeah.
But when I went into medical school and I started practicing as a doctor, I realized that I'm actually an artist.
Okay.
Too.
Sure. Okay.
I'm a scientist and I'm an artist.
You're on both sides of the brain.
Yeah. So I felt that my training was more geared towards the science, and I wanted to practice the art of medicine.
Sure. Okay.
So I suppose that's been my journey of
Yeah.
trying to blend together the art and science of healing.
Yeah. If you didn't pursue medicine, what would you? Because you're writing.
Invested in the story
Mm.
behind, what I'm just immediately seeing. What's underneath that? I want to
Yeah.
know your story.
Sure. I hear you.
So I suppose my work as a doctor gave me the opportunity to unravel
Find
what's
out.
underneath that, those symptoms.
Yeah. Really developing almost like a bedside manner for people you see on an everyday basis.
Yeah, exactly.
Understanding. So you set up shop as a GP in Windsor East, just down the road from us here. How long
Right.
were you in Windsor East for?
5 years.
5 years, eh? Okay, so what motivated you then to move from there? I said 2007, I think it might have been 2005, to move to Mulder's Drift. I mean, beautiful
No,
part
it was
of...
2007.
Was it 2007?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
A beautiful part of the country. I mean, as we were talking before we went on air, out in the country, great space. What was the motivation for you to move from Windsor East to Mulder's Drift?
Well, I think about 3 years into my GP practice, I realized, okay, this way of practicing medicine is not working for me. I want to practice medicine in a different way that was more holistic, that really worked with the root cause. And I wanted to practice mind-body medicine. I didn't know how, where, So I had this idea of creating a women's center for healing. And around that time, I met an amazing woman by the name of Marisa Lloyd. And she had been living in Mulder's Drift. So Woodlands was her family's property. And she had the very same idea of starting a wellness center, healing center. And we realized that we shared the same vision. We started working together and becoming really good friends. And I think it was at a time where, the discomfort of being in the practice outweighed the fear of the change.
Yeah, you just know it's the next. Yeah, you know when you know.
Yeah, and I woke up one morning and I decided, okay,
that's it.
this is it. I'm selling my practice. And I'm actually going to join Marisa in Mulder's Drift.
On the banks of the road.
Yeah, and start to craft this new way of living and being. And it was an experiment initially, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so is it still a women's retreat? If I come, are you going to shun me at the gate?
Not at all. It was never a women's retreat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, we realized that, everybody needs healing.
Sure.
Everybody needs this approach.
Yeah.
So initially, we were the last resort for people. After they had explored all the other options that didn't work, they would then come to us. But I think it's starting to change.
Yeah.
Very much so. We're starting to see the shift now where we realize that, lifestyle changes are really important. That's the first step.
Sure.
Medicine is actually the last resort, or should be the last resort.
So what were you finding frustrating when you were in Windsor towards the ends of your time at Windsor East? Was it just the practice of traditional medicine, of traditional Western medicine? It wasn't achieving anything. Yes, I got rid of my flu this week, but next week I came back for something else.
Exactly. And the
was
same
that the frustration you were?
Yeah, I felt like I wasn't really achieving anything. I was treating basic symptoms, but whereas I was seeing this very obvious connection between people's lifestyle stresses and what is showing up on a health level. And they would come with the recurring issues, irritable bowel syndrome and migraines and insomnia. And so you just dish out pills, anti-inflammatories, antibiotics, antidepressants, And I knew that I was just not being true to myself and not being true to my patients. I was not really doing the best that I could do for them. Because at that time I was going through lots of personal changes. My brother had just committed suicide, and I was going through the process of grief, and also just really delving into this idea of mind-body medicine, and was discovering all these exciting things, and it was all kind of making sense to me, and I wanted to start practicing in that way.
Sure.
So it just started becoming more and more uncomfortable to work at that level when I knew there was so much more that was going on.
Wonderful. Guys, stay tuned. When we come back, we can carry on talking to Dr. Ella Munger, author of the new book, The Energy Code. We want to hear from you. Make sure you send us your questions on Twitter, on my Twitter account, or my Facebook page, and be part of the show.
This is Soapbox Radio. Potting it out there with My Lime Boots. The Lifestyle Edit. Share your thoughts and be part of the show now. Send a message on Twitter or Facebook at MyLimeBoots. Find My Lime Boots on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at MyLimeBoots, and on YouTube at My Lime Boots Live.
We back. We're back this afternoon chatting to Dr. Ella Munger, author of The Energy Code. I just see Charmaine has sent us a message on Facebook saying, hello, Dr. Munger. So hello from Charmaine.
Hi.
Before the jingle there, we were speaking about your time in Windsor East, practicing the GP. This seems to have been rather critical in your journey to where you are today. Do you want to talk to me through that a little bit more?
Yeah, it was really in Windsor East that I started developing a relationship with my patients. And I started to see that just being present, deeply present with my patients, something was starting to change.
Yeah. What were you seeing?
So, firstly, they were being listened to rather than just, this is what you... Yeah, take this.
Yeah.
And in listening, I was learning so much. I was starting to see that there's this very obvious link between what goes on in the body and what goes on in the mind and what goes on in our hearts.
Did you find yourself prescribing different treatments or just reacting differently to the person? I mean,
I didn't know what other treatments to prescribe because I didn't have the tools.
Okay.
All I had was what medical school taught me. So I started to teach myself about nutrition and about breathing techniques and about the mind-body connection and how that all worked. And I came across a modality called body talk at that time, which was really so mind-blowing for me because it was a system that brought everything together from anatomy, physiology, quantum physics, Chinese medicine systems, ancient Ayurvedic systems. It just brought it all together. And that was my first real training in this field of mind-body medicine.
Okay. Why do you think other GPs are not following a similar approach? They seem to be merely medicating the symptoms, dishing out pills, rather than addressing root causes, which seems to be your passion and your mission in life.
I think a lot are. I think a lot of GPs are starting to see that this is the medicine of the future. Those who are not, I think, are just too scared to go there.
Yeah.
Because, when you open up that can of worms.
It literally is a can of worms.
Yeah, exactly. And, we're not trained. What do you do with someone who is starting to share their trauma? There's no time because you've got a waiting room full of patients.
People. Yeah.
So they'd rather just, refer off to a psychologist or dietitian. And that's when the system becomes quite fragmented. So it's not about putting the responsibility fully to be a counselor or nutritionist on the GP. But if we as doctors start to just create that awareness in ourselves and for our patients that, look, this is part of a bigger picture. And just start to put some basic things in place in your life. And let's see what happens. Let's use medicine as the last resort. Let's do all the tests. Let's do all the investigations. Let's rule out any severe pathology. If there's anything obvious that needs to be addressed, yes, we can address it. But, there's so much more that
can be done.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you have stats, but what would you estimate, or the percentage-wise in terms of, say, Joburg, South Africa, wherever you want to look at, doctors who are practicing with your approach, sort of a new way of thinking, versus guys who are just doing the traditional thing?
Okay. Sure.
I don't know if such stats exist, or what do you think it is? Do you think it's a 10% rate?
No, I think it's less than that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, there's an organization called the South African Society of Integrative Medicine, and which basically is a body that supports integrative practitioner, and that is growing, and it has been growing rapidly over the last few years. So I think that it is happening. The shift is happening. But I think it's a slow one. But I think that it's definitely going in this direction.
Yeah.
There are different kinds of integrative doctors as well. There are integrated doctors that focus just on supplements. That's one aspect of it. Yeah. But I really think that we need to be aware that underneath it all, at the tip, the tip of the iceberg is the symptoms, but that the root of the iceberg is so broad. And we're talking about belief systems that are formed so early on in our lives that shape our view of ourselves and the world, and that really informs our choices and our habits. And, we're really a bunch of habits.
Yeah,
if we really
very
look
much
at
so.
It, yeah.
Which then translate into a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And our work is to look at what are the new habits that we can start to create that will really support an optimum life, our ability to really navigate the complexities of the modern world.
Yeah.
We are requiring a software upgrade.
Yeah.
We need to create new neural pathways.
Yes.
And initially that's difficult, like learning any new skill. It takes
Yeah.
practice, and it takes awareness, and it takes patience and consistency.
Sure.
And eventually that becomes your new way of operating, And when you can start living life like that, it becomes very empowering.
Sure.
Yeah.
I see Irinda also on Facebook has just come and say she's enjoying the topic, enjoying listening. Thank you for joining us, Irinda. Do you think, just briefly then, that a change is necessary at medical school level, not chucking stuff out, but maybe adding a little bit more in
Absolutely.
to teach new doctors on a new approach?
Absolutely. We're starting to discover so many things in the field of neuroscience and psychoneuroimmunology. This is not just an esoteric concept anymore.
Sure.
We're understanding the role of the vagus nerve in activating the rest and relax mode. We're in a state of constant adrenalized energy where we're functioning in a low-grade, like stress, adrenalized state. And we have forgotten how to relax. The body cannot heal unless we're in that state of deep relaxation.
Yeah.
And so that's a fundamental aspect of my work, training people how to relax again.
Sure.
That in itself is incredibly powerful.
Which is obviously informed by the modern digital life that we live.
Exactly.
Phones are with us the whole time. There's never time to actually be down.
Exactly.
So
you're asking about the training at medical school. Absolutely. I believe that mindfulness needs to be part of the curriculum. I believe that the art of listening needs to be part of the curriculum. Nutrition, that is a foundation of health. It's not even addressed at medical school.
Yeah.
I mean...
Sure. Big changes.
Absolutely.
100%. Do you still practice traditional medicine?
Yeah, so...
Can I come to you when I got flu?
Of course. I can't
You're probably not going to
guarantee-
give me pills, which is not going to make me
Exactly.
happy. Because I want to be better the next day.
So the approach is really to support your own body to activate its own healing capability. So we're supporting that process.
Sure.
So you come to me with the flu, I'm going to give you herbs that is really going to support your immune system to fight that flu rather than suppressing your symptoms, which achieves nothing at the end of the day.
Does that approach take longer?
No, not really.
Not really, huh? Okay, because I
Okay.
like to pop a pill today and tomorrow I'm back at work.
Yeah, you might suppress your symptoms,
Yes.
but that
Yeah.
virus is still in your system.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, we'll get to there. Guys, stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to keep chatting to Dr. Ella Munga about her book, The Energy Code.
You're tuned in to Soapbox Radio. Podding it out there with My Line Boots. Share your thoughts and be part of the show now. Send a message on Twitter or Facebook at My Line Boots. Find My Line Boots on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. At My Line Boots and on YouTube. At My Line Boots Live.
I'm back and chatting to Dr. Ella Munga this afternoon about her new book, The Energy Code, and what this modern digital lifestyle, the toll it takes on us. Before we had that jingle break, Dr. Munga, you were talking about our digitally based lives, and you've been quoted as saying the skill we require now is no longer balance, but integration. Talk me through that one.
This device, the smartphone,
Yes.
it's like an appendage now.
Very much
Okay.
so, yeah.
And that's just the reality of our lives, right? It's like an extension of our brain almost. And I think it's about learning to develop a relationship with it so that we are in charge. And at the moment, I don't think
around.
it's the other way around. So when I was speaking about creating new neural pathways, this is what I mean. How do we create the awareness to use this device in a way that really supports our energy rather than drains our energy? Because at the moment, our relationship with this is so reactive.
Yeah.
It's habitual.
Yeah.
And we don't realize the effect of it. Opening up an email, there's a little spike of adrenaline and cortisol in the system. And so,
That's it,
so we're living our whole day not breathing. And what effect is that having on our health, our relationships, the way that we relate to ourselves? And I really think that this digital addiction is creating a disconnect within ourselves and the disconnect with each other and with nature. And this is really why we're seeing an epidemic in burnout.
Yeah. You see, when I first heard you talk 3 weeks ago at Longevity, this is what I really liked about your approach. Is you're not saying, "Oh, digital is bad. Don't look at your cell phone." You're saying, "Let's understand this is real. This is realistic. This is what we have, and let's find a healthy way to deal with it." So that approach makes the most sense to me. It sounds like something we can work with. Is this modern-based digital appendage problem what's causing us to lose our fire? Does this not appear to be limited to just certain sectors of society? It's everyone who seems to be affected by this.
Everybody.
Yeah. Let's talk about burnout. What's happening? Everyone's getting burnt out. What's actually happening here? What is the process? What is causing this? What are we going through?
I think there's so many frameworks in understanding this term burnout, and as a result, there's lots of confusion about what this word actually means. For me, burnout is a depletion of our life force. It's a syndrome of disconnection from our own body's ability to heal itself, the disconnection from our hearts, really. It causes a living in the mind, a disconnection from the body, a disconnection from nature.
Yeah.
And it's this disconnect that is what burnout really is. It's a depletion and a disconnection.
So that disconnection is coming from the fact that we're thriving and we're living on this adrenal rush the whole time.
Yeah, I think burnout is something that creeps up on us, and this is something that I've seen. There's a pattern. There's a pattern to it. Initially, we experience being quite wired and tired. Okay, so we're more wired.
Yes.
So we're on this adrenaline buzz, and we're going, and we can't switch the mind off, and we're always looking at the device, and we're so in the head, and we're so distracted. We're chronically distracted. And when we're in this adrenalized energy zone, I call it the danger zone. The body starts to give us little telltale signals. Okay, digestive issues, headaches, insomnia, restlessness, irritability, anxiety. Yeah. And these are common things that show up in GP practice in your everyday life. You have a headache, you pop a pill, you can't sleep, you take a sleeping tablet. Yeah. You're feeling a bit anxious, you take I'm not going to mention any names.
No, yeah.
So, you're just going to pop a pill.
Yeah.
Because there's no time. We have to get on with things.
Yeah.
And so over time, what's happening is that we're suppressing these symptoms, not really addressing what the body is really asking for. Okay. And we're not resting. We're never in that rest and digest phase. And eventually we reach a tipping point where the body cannot keep up with the demands anymore. And then the stress hormone levels start to fall because the adrenal glands are so depleted. And then that's when we start feeling more tired than wired. That is when we dip into burnout zone. Okay. And we start to feel depressed. We can't see the point of what we're doing anymore. That's really when we're heading for burnout. And if we can recognize it for what it is, it's a great opportunity to say, hey, look, am I living my life in alignment with what's really important to me? What needs to change in my life?
Yeah.
So it's an invitation inwards.
Yeah, to look inside and to reassess.
Absolutely.
So would you say those are the symptoms of burnout? We start with irritable bowel, moodiness, lack of sleep.
So those are symptoms of adrenalized energy,
Okay.
which is basically you're on the road to burnout. If you continue on that road, you will get burnt out.
Yeah. Okay. So if someone comes and presents with burnout today at a consultation, how would you go about? I'm not trying to steal your methods here,
no,
but I mean, what am I likely to expect from a consultation with you if that's my situation?
So it's a whole mind, body, heart approach. Okay. So we look at the whole person, and we look at what's really needing support right now. Are we needing to focus more on emotional support right now? Do we need to really just support nutrition and really boost the adrenal glands, work with herbs and work with supplements and work with diet? What is the priority here? Or is it an approach that brings all of it together? But none of those methods will work unless I teach my clients, patients, I don't know what to call them anymore, how to relax.
Yeah.
The skill of relaxation is the key to breaking out of that mode of because it's only then that the body will start to heal itself.
So if I'm listening to you this afternoon and I start to see some of these little symptoms that you've mentioned already, is it good enough for me just to take it a little bit easier, more regularly, or do I really need to start? I don't mean supplementing in terms of pills. I mean supplementing in the way that you maybe would suggest. Is it good enough for me to try address it on my own, or do I really need to come and have a chat to you? Even if I feel I'm just in the starting phases.
I think everybody needs a little bit of help and support, and I think it's always helpful to speak to someone. If you feel okay, you can manage on your own, and you can start with that. That's great.
A good space to start.
But I think there's so much information out there which can be very confusing. So I think it's important just to have a chat to someone and clear things up and make sense of things.
Yeah.
Because there's so much information out there in this field, it can be very confusing.
Okay. Great. When we're back, we're going to keep on talking to Dr. Manga about her book, The Energy Code, and we're giving one away. So make sure you stay tuned.
This is Soapbox Radio. Potting it out there with My Lime Boots. The Lifestyle Edit. Share your thoughts and be part of the show now. Send a message on Twitter or Facebook at My Lime Boots. Find My Lime Boots on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at My Lime Boots, and on YouTube at My Lime Boots Live.
Great. I'm chatting to Dr. Ella Manga this afternoon about her book, The Energy Code. I see Eddie's just asked us a question. He seems to relate really much to the topic, especially the symptoms we've spoken. Ella, he's asking, where can he find the book, The Energy Code?
So it's available at most big bookstores. Exclusive Books should have it in stock. Yeah.
Okay. Great. If I read the book, which you've kindly given me a copy this afternoon, am I going to struggle with some of the concepts in there with my little brain? I'm going to be able to understand what you write about?
No. The way that I've structured the book is that every chapter is based on a real person that I've worked with.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's very relatable.
Do you give their names and their pictures there?
So I've changed the names, of course.
Yeah.
And it's written in an easy reading style. And it's simple. So at the end of every chapter, there's a little summary of, a very practical tool and skill that you can start to implement immediately.
Yeah. Okay, great. Guys, if you have a look at Twitter and Facebook, and it is now 27 minutes past 4, so I think those posts are up, you will see a post that I put up featuring Dr. Manga's book. Retweet, share, comment, tell us what you like about the post. We're running this till Sunday afternoon at 4, and we'll be giving one away. So if you're interested in finding out more about what Dr. Manga's talking about, make sure you hit my Twitter or Facebook, and you'll find all the posts there for you to go and share and enter that giveaway. I'm hoping there's going to be you that's going to win that book. Dr. Manga, tell us, what is the journey of life taught you so far?
Wow. I've got journals full of what life has taught me.
Sure.
But I think the most important thing that life has taught me is that everything is in perfect order. And everything that happens for a real reason. There's an opportunity in everything. So even adversity, even the most tragic of life situations, there's a gift there, there's an opportunity there. And it's all about just opening your heart to what that is. And we have a source of power and energy within us that is part of everything, you know. And it's about our journey of life is about navigating through all the layers of our fears and of anxiety to reach that place. So it's not even about meditating it away or doing this bypass to avoid all of it.
It's embracing.
It's really to breathe through it, to breathe through all those layers, and to live from a place that is trusting and open and free of fear.
Yeah, that's a big one. I think a lot of us live in fear these days. Tell us lastly, Dr. Manga, is there another book that you're waiting to awe and delight us with up that sleeve of yours there?
I think there are many more books.
Okay.
I'm just waiting for it to come.
Present itself.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we look forward to seeing that one. Tell us, where can the guys in the audience who are listening this afternoon get hold of you if they want to find out more?
Yeah, so I think the best is to visit my website, www.drelamanga.com.
Okay, the best one, huh? If you guys have a look on Facebook and Twitter, I've just posted Dr. Ella Manga's contact details. Be sure to get hold of her there if you want to hear more or find out more about her and this wonderful approach that she has to our modern digital life. Dr. Manga, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. As always, the half an hour's gone in 5 minutes, and I think we're going to be chatting a bit more, I must be honest.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. Thank you for your time. Guys, that was Soapbox Radio. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you enter that giveaway. We're running it till Sunday. Be sure to hit my Twitter account and Facebook to find the post that you need to share and tweet, and we'll be drawing that winner on Monday morning. Good luck to you. I hope it's you. That was Soapbox Radio, and I look forward to chatting to you guys next week. Cheers.
You've been listening to Soapbox Radio, podding it out there with my Lime Boots. Find My Lime Boots on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. At My Lime Boots, and on YouTube. At My Lime Boots Live.